you, guys, and I am so honored to be here today. You guys look amazing out here. I am Anne-Marie Henning, and I'm going to tell you a story about my identity crisis. So, I'm 54 years old, and you would think after 54 years, I would have a pretty good idea of who I am. But it turns out that there are certain life events that happen to all of us at any age. And those can include, leaving a long-time career, losing a loved one, leaving the military, getting sober, or even questioning your religious beliefs. All of those things are stressful and can be traumatic and can make us question our sense of self. And that's what happened to me. I lost two amazing people in my life. And I left my 32-year career at WICON in a relatively short period of time. And this is what happened. So over the last couple of years, with my parents' health declining, I became their caretaker. And as an only child, I knew that this day would come. But what I didn't understand was how hard it would be, and how emotional it would be, and how much time it would take. And on August 5th of 2021, I lost my dad. He passed away. And I said to myself, I have to be strong. I have to pull everything that I have together so that I can be strong for my mom, who's grieving, and so that I can do everything that I need to do for, everything you have to do for, when somebody passes away, all the legal aspects, that type of thing. Writing an obituary, by the way, that is one of the hardest things I've ever done. How do you put a person's life into, a couple of paragraphs? So then, 16 days after we placed my dad's ashes at the Idaho State Veterans Cemetery, my mom fell. And when she fell, she broke her femur and displaced the stem that was part of her artificial hip. And the doctor told us that if she was going to walk again, she needed to have surgery. So, of course, we opted for the surgery. It went great. The doctor was really excited about it, and I was super optimistic that my mom's leg was going to be stronger than ever, and she was going to be up and running around in no time. So I stayed at the hospital with her for a few days, day and night, and she developed some complications after the surgery. And 2 months and 1 day after my dad's passing, I lost my mom. Sorry. I was so overwhelmed and just grief-stricken and lonely, and all of a sudden, I experienced anxiety, which I really hadn't had much of before. Having these feelings of waking up in the middle of the night, shaking and not being able to breathe, and having nightmares and talking in my sleep. Also, there's a saying that you can't pull from a dry well. And it's so true. I felt completely empty. And I had nothing more to give to my family or my job or myself. So this very wise man in my life, he happens to be my husband, and I think he's right over here. Say woo, Bill. I do have to give a quick shout out to him because he was by my side through this whole thing, and so supportive and so patient, and I couldn't have done it without you. So thank you. He is very wise, and he has this saying that he really likes to say all the time, and that is, if you continue to do the same thing, you're always going to get the same result. So I knew I had to make a change, and in my heart, I knew I had to leave my job at WICON because of the stresses of the job and the time commitment there. After everything I'd gone through, I could not muster enough anymore for anything. So I did. I left my job, and I left it in June of this last year. And I thought, okay, this is the answer. This is going to solve all my problems, because now I'm going to have time to focus on me and rest and take care of all this stuff from my mom and dad's, estate. But the opposite happened, and to fill my well again so that I would have something to give. But what happened was, I realized that I had tied being my parents' caretaker and Micron to my identity so deeply that all of a sudden I didn't have either of those. And I was so lost and scared, and I didn't know who I was or where I was going or if I could be anything, because my self-confidence was completely gone. But I remembered this plaque that my mom had given me when I was a teenager, and it said, "What is to be is up to me." And I thought about that, and it had gotten me through some situations in my life, and I grabbed onto that and thought, yeah, you know what? I am in control here. These things can happen to me from the outside, but I am in control of how I want to react to these situations. These are my feelings. And just, my job, what I do, isn't me to the core. I get to define who I am. So now I'm like, how do I get myself back? How do I get back to me? And I picked up a book called The Noticer by Andy Andrews. And if you haven't read any of his stuff, I highly recommend it. This particular book is about perspective. And these people are going through some really desperate times, and they're feeling like they're at the end of their rope. And this old man comes, and he gets them to look at their problems from a different angle. And he shows them the little bits of hope and light and the opportunities in their problems. So I knew that's where I needed to start. I needed to look at this from another perspective. So what I did was I made 2 lists. I made one list that was my joy list, everything that made me happy, made me smile from my heart. And the other list was things that didn't bring me joy. And when I compared the lists, the joy list was way longer than the no joy list. And I was reading those things that I had written down on that paper, and I started to feel happy, and I started to feel that light coming back on because, wow, I am really lucky to have all of these things, and I am so grateful for everything I have in my life. The other thing I did is reach out to a counselor. And if you are going through a time in your life where you feel like you're going through it alone, please know that you don't have to. And I would really encourage you to reach out and make a connection with a friend or a family member, somebody you trust, or even a professional like a medical doctor or a counselor. This counselor helped me a lot, and she encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone, which is super news to somebody who doesn't have any confidence at all. So I did. I started to do some things that made me uncomfortable, even small ones, because just a small step forward is a step forward. And each time I did these things and got through them okay, I realized that I can do hard things and I can face these things that I'm afraid of, and that confidence started to build again. And I really started feeling like myself again. And through all of this, after losing myself completely, and all the work that I did to put myself back together, what I found was a better, stronger me. I was able to find purpose and new tools to use from my hard times. And that was a chapter in my life. It wasn't the end. I'm really excited for this new chapter, whatever it may hold. And I trust that it's going to be good because what is to be is up to me. There are a couple of things that I want to leave you with today. And, I want to reintroduce myself, my new, better self. I am Anne-Marie Henning, and I'm 54 years old. I'm kind, I'm thoughtful, I love helping others. I love very deeply. I'm smart, and I'm goofy, and I'm super awkward, and I'm accident prone. And I love music. The lyrics just hit me in the heart. And I'm an 80s rock chick to the core. So, there are a couple of things that I want to leave you with today, and one of them is a Spotify playlist. This is a list of songs that inspire me, and I hope that you will get some enjoyment out of those. It's public on Spotify, and it's called Inspiration for Dragon Slayers. So I encourage you to go find it and listen, and I hope you get some enjoyment out of that. The last thing, and I did mention I was a little bit goofy, is this poem that I found when I was going through my mom's things. She was notorious for cutting things out of newspapers and magazines, and I found a ton of these. But for some reason, I hung on to this one, knowing that I would need it someday. And this is the day, and so I get to share it with you guys. It's very sentimental, so be ready. May the light always find you on a dreary day. When you need to be home, may you find your way. May you always have the courage to take a chance and never find frogs in your underpants. Thank you.